Hey, today we're going to be simplifying expressions, and they're going to be a little bit harder expressions than we've seen before. They're going to have some distributing in it, some combining like terms, and both of those skills squished together. So earlier in this chapter, you see that we did distributing by itself. That's the easy one where you're just multiplying the number on the outside by everything on the inside. So 3x times 4 gives us 12x, and the same thing on the 4 times the 7, which gives us 28. This was something we did earlier in the week. The negatives get a little pesky here. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, and put the x on it. And then a negative 2 and a negative 7 gives us a positive 14. If you want to think of this as a minus, you can, but we still have a minus sign and a negative sign, and a minus sign and a negative sign gives you that addition. We are multiplying in this operation. The terms do not need to be alike to multiply them. And then I'm going to just do a little bit of review of combining like terms. Notice our answers have different parts to it, have 2 different terms to it. Sometimes they may even have 3 different terms to it. Here was a problem that we did in the distributing lesson that had 3 terms to it. Some of you are still trying to combine too much together. We need to stop when we have distributed and combined anything together that looks the same. 12 times an unknown can't be combined with a negative 28. This is an unknown amount, and this is negative 28. So when we look down here, we've already done problem 9, and I just wanted to review it with you. We already have our like terms next to each other. So I've written down the problem. There is no distributing. I know there's no distributing because there's no parentheses. So I'm ready to combine the like terms. So this 7x and this is a negative 1x. I want you to remember that all minuses are a negative. We really have some invisible plus signs here. We are really adding each of those terms together. And you could do the integer part on a calculator. We need to add the 6 and the negative 1, 7 and the negative 1, which gives me 6y. In order to add, we need the terms to be alike. And then over here, this is a negative 5. Minus 5 is a negative 5, and I'm adding to it a 9. Okay? When I add those up, I get a 4. Since this 4 is a positive, I'm going to put a plus sign between the 2 terms. If this 4 was a negative, I would put a minus sign between the 2 terms, and I'm done. An error I saw in some of your homework earlier in this unit was you were trying to add those together. You can't add those together. This is an unknown amount. This is 6 times y. We don't know what y is. We can't add 4 to something we don't know what it is. This one here, just know that this is 1 whole minus 4/100. You could do that on a calculator. 1 whole minus 4/100. You would need a little regrouping there if you didn't use a calculator. And that would be 0.96. Notice when I do it on the calculator, I do it out, I'm forgetting about the C. Okay, we can think of this as being carrots. I have 1 whole carrots and I take away 4/100 of a carrot. I'm left with 96/100 of the carrot. Okay. Or 1 whole cookie, take away 4/100 of a cookie is 96/100 of a cookie. So here's where we get the little bit harder problems, and we need to get rid of these parentheses. We want to look and see what we need to distribute. There's always an invisible 1 here, and when I distribute a 1, nothing changes. Okay, but I can get rid of my parentheses. Here, there is an invisible 1 there. When I distribute a positive 1, nothing changes. But I do get to get rid of the parentheses. And let me go ahead and move that a little bit bigger. Okay, so I've distributed. It was only a 1, so it didn't really affect much. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. These 5j's and these 3j's I'm going to add together. 5j and 3j. I am adding those, and they're both positives, which gives me 8j. And then I'm going to add these together. This is a negative 7. That minus sign belongs to the 7, and this is a negative 8. So I'm adding negative 7 and negative 8. I am always adding in my integer rules. When I add 2 negatives, I do truly add, which gives me 15. And that 15 is a negative. So instead of putting plus, I put minus. When your answer is a negative, you put a minus sign instead of a plus. And I stop there. So my steps were, I wrote it down the problem, I distributed it to get rid of the parentheses, and then I combined like terms. Let's try the hardest one here. So I need to get rid of the parentheses. So the first thing I start with is distributing. And what I am distributing here is a -7. And I am multiplying by that. Okay, this problem just gets brought down. Okay, I'm not doing anything with it. What I'm doing is -7 times 2 and adding an x to it. I could use a calculator if I wanted to. I would just do -7 times 2, and then I added that x on. I could do that on a calculator. And this is -7 times a -4. A negative times a negative is a +28. If you're like, but I thought it was a minus. All minuses can be thought of as a negative. Okay, minus a negative is a positive. And I'm not done yet. I've done the distributing, so the parentheses disappear when after I distribute, but I still need to combine the like terms. I like to put the constants at the end, so I'm going to start with a variable, and he doesn't have anything that's like him, so I just write him down. And then what I'm going to combine is the 9, which is a positive, with the 28 that is a positive. So I'm adding up the 9 and the 28. They're both positives. So 9 and 28 is a +37. There's my final answer. That is the level that we're going to be trying to work to today. Again, remember, you need to stop at this point after you've distributed and combined the like terms together. Don't do too much. Let me show you one more a little bit harder on the copies of the notes. It's on there. It's problem 20B. Let's get rid of that. So this one's a really difficult one. We distribute the 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Add the x. Put the x on. 9 times 4 is 36. This is a negative. Mix signs. 3 times 6 is 18. Put the x on. 3 times -1 is -3. So this is the distributing, and my parentheses are gone, and now I'm going to combine the like terms. So I added the 18x and the 18x, which gave me 36x, and I added the -36 and the -3, which gave me -39. Something to remember about the one that I just did earlier. I wrote the answer in this order because I have a little bit more advanced knowledge. That this is what we call standard form, where you put the variables first and the constants at the end. But this is okay if you were to put the terms in the opposite order. This means the same thing. This is 37 minus 14x, and this is a minus 14x plus 37. Those are the same, equal, just two different ways of writing it. You can do it. Be careful of your pesky negatives. Keep rewatching this video as much as you need.